The Israeli Navy, Arabic, is the naval warfare service arm of the Israel Defense Forces, operating primarily in the Mediterranean Sea theater as well as the Gulf of Aqaba and the Red Sea theater. The current commander-in-chief of the Israeli Navy is Aluf Ram Rothberg. History. The origins of the Israeli Navy lay in the founding of the Beta Naval Academy, a Jewish naval training school established in Civitavecchia, Italy, in 1934 by the revisionist Zionist movement under the direction of Zeev Jabotinsky, with the agreement of Benito Mussolini. The academy trained cadets from all over Europe, Palestine and South Africa and produced some of the future commanders of the Israeli Navy. In September 1937, the training ship Sarai visited Haifa and Tel Aviv as part of a Mediterranean tour. In 1938, encouraged by the Jewish agency, Dr. Shlomo Bardan founded the Marine High School in Bosmat, the Technions Junior Technical College. 1943 witnessed the founding of the Palik, the naval branch of the Palmach, whose training was undertaken at the Maritime School. The Jewish merchant marine was also raised, operating the SS Tel Aviv and cargo ships such as the ATID. In 1942, 1,100 Haganah volunteers joined the Royal Navy, mostly in technical roles. A few reached sea service and combat service. Two of them served with the Fleet Air Arm, one of whom was Edmund Wilhelm Brillant and the other Zvi Vidra. With the end of the Second World War, Pallium members took part in clandestine immigration activities bringing Europe's Jews to Palestine, as well as commando actions against Royal Navy deportation ships. Royal Navy volunteers, meanwhile, rejoined the Haganah. During the last months of British mandate in Palestine, the former Royal Navy volunteers started work on the captured clandestine immigration ships in Haifa Harbor, salvaged a few and pressed them into service. These were to become the Navy's first ships and saw service in the 1948 Israeli War of Independence. At the outset of the 1948 war and with the founding of the IDF, the Israeli Navy consisted of 4 former Eliyubet ships impounded in Haifa Harbor. These ships were refurbished by a newly formed naval repair facility with the assistance of 2 private shipbuilding and repair companies. In October 1948, a submarine chaser was purchased from the United States. With the founding of the IDF in early 1948, the Israeli Navy was therefore formed from a core of the following personnel: Royal Navy volunteers with the technical skills and discipline acquired from the Royal Navy, though with no active sea service and experience on Royal Navy ships. Pallium members who had led the clandestine and immigration effort, but had no sea background in navigation or leading a ship into a battle. The captains of clandestine and immigration ships were Italian, while Pallium personnel were commanding the ship under instructions from the Haganah. Ikaron Awij, captain of the Exodus and a Jew, was the exception rather than the rule. Merchant marine captains and chief engineers, possessing navigation skills but lacking combat skills. Jewish volunteers from the U.S. Navy and Royal Navy, such as Commander Paul Schulman of the U.S. Navy, and Commanders Solomon and Alan Burke of the Royal Navy. These, however, were often discriminated against and their experience wasted by a Navy command that was based on the Palmach and its various branches. This resulted in odd situations where unskilled officers from the Pallium were in command of far more experienced naval officers. During the war, the warships served on coastal patrol duties and bombarded Arab targets on land, including Egyptian coastal installations in and around the Gaza area all the way to Port Said. The Israeli Navy also engaged the Egyptian Navy at sea during Operation Yoav, and the Egyptian Navy's flagship, the Emir Farouk, was sunk in an operation by Israeli naval commandos. To make matters worse, Pallium personnel often resisted efforts to instill order, discipline and rank in the newly formed service. Mess rooms were initially shared by both officers and enlisted men. Ships possessed a captain with nautical skills but also a commanding officer regarded as political. This would cause a great deal of debate between veterans of the Pallium Royal Navy volunteers from the Haganah and U.S. Navy McCall volunteers about what form the Navy should take. Commander Alan Burke is reputed to have said, "Out of despair, you cannot make naval officers from cowboys." RN Captain Ash Lincoln, who was Jewish, advised PM Ben-Gurion to purchase corvettes, frigates, destroyers, torpedo boats, and patrol boats to build up the Israeli Navy power. For that sake he urged Ben-Gurion to consult with professional Navy advisors. This resulted in instructions to contact U.S. Navy advisors, mainly Commander Paul Schulman from the U.S. Navy. The Israeli Navy suffered from a lack of professional command during its early days. Gershon Zak, head of the IDF Sea Service, was a teacher and bureaucrat without any relevant experience. Having never been recruited into the IDF, Zak was a civilian and had no official rank. The early days of the Israeli Navy were therefore characterized by political infighting, as many groups and individuals jockeyed for power. Pallium politics blocked the nomination of Paul Schulman as Navy Commander-in-Chief and he resigned in 1949. The first Navy Commander-in-Chief, awarded the rank of Aluf, was Shlomo Shamir. The conclusion of the 1948 war afforded the Navy the time to build up its strength. Beginning in the early 1950s, the Navy purchased frigates, torpedo boats, destroyers, and eventually submarines. The material build-up was accompanied by the training of Israeli Navy officers in Royal Navy academies in the UK and Malta, as well as in France. Three distinct periods characterize the history of the Israeli Navy: foundation and early days. The destroyer's age, the missile boats era, beginning in 1965 and bearing fruit during the 1973 Yom Kippur War. Until 1967 the naval headquarters were located at Stella Maris, on the slopes of Mount Carmel, Haifa. After the Six-Day War it was relocated to the Kiryat in Tel Aviv, next to IDF headquarters. Yom Kippur War in the most significant engagement in its history. During the Yom Kippur War the Israeli Navy sank 5 Syrian ships without a loss during the Battle of Latakia. As a result, the Syrian Navy remained in port for the remainder of the conflict. Chain of command. The Israeli Navy is small compared to other navies, and the officers' chain of command is as follows with respect to Royal Navy, United States. Sleeve rank of Israeli Navy Commander-in-Chief is a rank of honor. This began as special permission from Lt. General Amnon Lipkin Shahak and allows the Navy Commander-in-Chief to have a sleeve rank of Vice Admiral, which is equal to Lt. General, the rank of the IDF Chief of Staff. However, the de facto rank of Israeli Navy Commander-in-Chief is Rear Admiral, and a gesture given to the Navy is ceremonial only when meeting foreign commanding officers. The same resolution as mentioned above applies to the rank of Commodore. There is ceremonial only sleeve rank of Rear Admiral, while by the IDF hierarchy and chain of command he remains a Commodore. Bases: Haifa Missile Boats Flotilla, the Submarine Flotilla, Patrol Boats Squadron 914. The emblem of the Haifa Naval Base is 2 arrows, one signifying the Missile Boats Flotilla and the other the Submarine Flotilla. Outlet, home to Sharetet 13, the Navy's elite commando unit. Ashdod, mainly a base for patrol boats. Squadron 916. The emblem of the Ashdod Naval Base is two opposing arrows. Eilat, patrol boats. Squadron 915. Eilat Naval Base was founded in 1951 and has been responsible for the Israeli Navy's Red Sea theater since 1981, when the Red Sea Naval Command Center was withdrawn from Sharm el-Sheikh in accordance with the Egyptian-Israeli peace treaty. The emblem of the Eilat Naval Base represents the red roofs of Eilat. The Naval Training Base, located in Haifa, contains the Submarine Operations School, the Missile Boat Operations School and the Naval Command School. The Naval Training Base also functions as the Israeli Naval Academy. The emblem of the Haifa Training Base is an owl, symbolizing wisdom and hard learning. Mamtum, IT, processing and computing. Mamtum is a small unit responsible for all Israeli Navy signal and IT systems, both logistic and operational. The soldiers that serve there are mainly programmers and university graduates in engineering, computer science and other technological professions. Naval shipyards. Navy headquarters, Hakia, Tel Aviv. Forces. Patrol squadrons, based in Haifa, Eilat, and Ashdod respectively. Squadrons 914, 915 and 916 defend Israel's shores from nearby. Units objectives: constant patrols in the seas of Israel, identification of watercraft entering Israeli waters, preventing smuggling through the sea, protecting national assets, such as drilling rigs. Various operations carried out alone, or with other units in and outside of the Navy. Various other objectives that differ between the squadrons. 3rd Flotilla, the Missile Boats Flotilla, based at Haifa. 34th Anti-Submarine Squadron. Units objectives: protecting Israeli commerce at sea from foreign fleets, preventing a possible naval blockade of Israeli ports during wartime, blockading enemy ports at wartime. 7th Flotilla, the Submarine Flotilla, an elite volunteer unit founded in 1959. Units objectives: attacking enemy craft in the home ports, covert information gathering, acting as a support unit for other units believed to be part of the country's nuclear weapons capability. For security reasons, applicants with dual citizenship must now officially renounce all other citizenships to be accepted into the submarine service training program. 13th Flotilla, Shayetet 13, or Flotilla 13, is an elite naval commando unit which specializes in sea-to-land incursions, counter-terrorism, sabotage operations, maritime intelligence gathering, maritime hostage rescue, and boarding. It is among the most highly trained and secretive units in the Israeli military. Salvage and Underwater Works Unit, formed as the damage control branch of the Navy shipyards. The unit later incorporated experienced Flotilla 13 divers. Intelligence: the Corps relies on its Naval Intelligence Division for naval intelligence. Marines: the Givati Brigade, an infantry brigade of the Israel Defense Forces, served as its amphibious force until the early 1990s. The 11th Flotilla would transport the troops on various transport vessels. Fleet INS stands for Israeli Navy Ship. Corvettes: SAAR-5 class. INS Eilat active. INS Lativ active. INS Hanit active. Missile boats: SAAR-4.5-CLASS. INS Romek pronounced active. INS Cache active. INS Hetz pronounced active. INS Kidden active. INS Tarshish active. INS Yafo active. INS Herov pronounced active. INS Sufa active. Submarines: Dolphin class. INS Dolphin. INS Leviathan. INS Tekmar. AIP Dolphin 2 class. INS Tannen. INS Rativ. INS Dhaka. Patrol boats: Devora 9 active, adopted from 1988. Super Devourer Mk24 active, adopted from 1996. Super Devourer Mk38 active, Shaldag class fast patrol boat. Naxhol class patrol boats, built by Stingray Marine 2 active, adopted from 1997-98. Defender class boats, Raphael Protector USV unmanned naval patrol vehicles. Silver Marlin USV naval patrol vehicles. Support ships Innsbat Yam, Innsbat Galim, commando boats, Dolphin type underwater crafts, Male type underwater crafts, Snunnet boats, Zafaron boats, Molet boats, Morin rigid-hulled inflatable boats, aircraft operated by the Israeli Navy, even when including on-board Navy mission specialists, are flown and maintained by Israeli Air Force personnel and are part of the Air Force command structure. Lockheed C-130 Hercules II active, 120 Squadron IIC Scan 3 active, 193 Squadron Eurocopter AS-565 Panther 7 active, Eurocopter HH-65 Dolphin 2 active, Bellew H-1 and Twin Hui 17 active. Unmanned aerial vehicles, Aeronautics Defense Orbiter. The Navy has an unmanned helicopter on SAAR-5 class corvettes. Equipment: Barak 1 Point Defense SAM, Barak 8 Long Range SAM and Anti-Missile Defense System, Gabriel Sea-to-Sea Missile, Harpoon Anti-Ship Missile, Popeye Air Sub-Launched Cruise Missile, Dolphin-class submarines believed to carry Popeye Turbo with a range and GT 1,500 kilometers and the option for nuclear warheads. Typhoon Weapons Station, remote-operated 25mm gun system. NAVLAR Artillery Rocket System, LM-2221 SDGR Search, Track and AMP Guidance Gunnery Radar, LM-2228 SAMDR Automatic Missile Detection Radar, LM-2228 XSGRS Surveillance and AMP Gunnery Radar System, LM-2238 STAR Surveillance and AMP Threat Alert Radar, LM-2226 ACSR Advanced Coastal Surveillance Radar. Future. 3 new SAAR-72 class corvettes are under construction at Israel shipyards, the first of which should enter service in 2015. These are a stretched version of the SAAR 4.5 design that will incorporate stealth technology. Despite some misgivings from Germany, the contract for the 6th and final Dolphin-class submarine is still intact and it should be operational by 2017. ThyssenKrupp will also build 4 SAAR patrol vessels for EEZ duties such as protecting offshore gas fields. The ships will be based on the MEKOA 100 design like Germany's Braunschweig-class corvettes, suggesting they will be 90 meters long and displace around 1,800 tons, named SAAR-6 class corvette. This deal was signed in December 2014 and Germany is believed to be contributing up to €115 million of the €1 billion cost. Previously Israel had hoped to acquire an up-armed version of the Freedom class of littoral combat ships from Lockheed Martin, but spiraling costs had made this impossible, along with a fallback option from Northrop Grumman, Huntington Ingalls Industries who built the SAAR-5 class. List of commanders. Source: Jewish Virtual Library. Gershon Zach, 1948-1949. Paul Schulman, 1949. Shlomo Shamir, 1949-1950. Mordecai Limin, 1951-1954. Shmuel Tankost, 1954-1960. Yochai Ben Nun, 1960-1966. Shlomo RL 1966 to 1968. Avraham Botzer 1968 to 1972. Benjamin Telem 1972 to 1976. Michael Barkai 1976 to 1978. Zeev Almog 1979 to 1985. Avraham Ben Shoshan 1985 to 1989. Misha Ram 1989 to 1992. Amy Ayalon 1992 to 1995. Alex Dahl 1995 to 1999. Yedid Uyari 1999 to 2004. David Ben Bashat 2004 to 2007. Eliezer Maram 2007 to 2011. Ram Rothberg 2011.